How to make money with AI without wasting months going in circles, losing time, losing money, and giving up too quickly. Hey there, my name is Kristin Nicole, and in this video, I'm going to share the 5 biggest mistakes beginners make when learning how to make money with AI. Plus, in a few minutes, I'm going to share what to do if you've already made these mistakes. Now, throughout this course, you've already seen that there are a lot of opportunities available right now. You've seen different business models, you've seen how creators are using AI, you've seen beginner-friendly ways to get started. But here's something that I've noticed. Most people don't fail because they choose the wrong AI tool or the wrong business model. And most people don't fail because they're not smart enough. They get stuck because they make a few common mistakes that quietly keeps them from moving forward. Now, the good news is that these mistakes are completely avoidable once you know what to look for. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 of the biggest mistakes beginners make with AI, and more importantly, how to avoid them. Because sometimes knowing what not to do is just as valuable as knowing what to do. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first mistake is spending all of your time learning and none of your time doing. Now, don't get me wrong, learning is important. You're doing that right now, but at some point, learning can become a form of procrastination. I don't know if you've ever fallen into that trap. I certainly have. So what happens in this scenario is you watch another video and then another and then another. You save more tutorials, you collect more information, and before you know it, you've spent weeks or even months preparing to start without actually starting. So just kind of a gentle reality check here, okay? You don't need to know everything before you begin. In fact, some of the most valuable lessons are only happening after you take action. So instead of asking yourself, what else do I need to learn? Try asking yourself, what's one thing I can try? Because action creates clarity much faster than endless research does. Mistake number 2 is trying too many AI tools. This second mistake is one of the easiest ones to fall into because the AI world moves really fast, and every week there's a new platform, there's a new feature, there's a new tool or a new trend. And what happens is you start using one tool, then someone recommends another, and then another. And suddenly you're spending more time testing tools than actually building anything. Now, this is something that I found myself getting caught up in as well. So it's really easy. I just want to normalize that. Okay, all of these are mistakes that most people get caught up in. Okay, so you're not alone if you've made any of these already. But the better approach is to start with one tool, okay? Just one. Learn it, use it, become comfortable with it. Then expand if you need, okay? But remember, you don't need the perfect tool. You need a tool that you'll actually use and that you then can feel comfortable teaching to someone else, okay? Now, mistake number 3 is constantly switching business models. This third mistake is really about chasing every new shiny object, every new opportunity. And this is often called shiny object syndrome. And it's one of the fastest ways to get stuck. Now, an example would be one week you're interested in content creation, the next week you're exploring chatbots, then digital products, then consulting, then something else entirely. The problem with this is that every time you switch directions, you start over, which means you never stay with one path long enough to gain momentum. Now, the better approach here is to choose one model, okay? Not forever, just for now. Give yourself enough time to learn, experiment, and see what happens. Most opportunities work better than they initially seem, but only if you stay with them long enough to give them a chance to work. Mistake number 4, waiting until you feel ready. This one is incredibly common. And if I'm being honest, most people never feel fully ready. This one is very common because a lot of times people think, I'll start once I understand everything. And I'll start once I feel more confident. I'll start once I know exactly what I'm doing. But the problem with this is that confidence doesn't usually come first, all right? Action comes first, and then confidence follows. Think about everything that you've ever learned. Driving, using any sort of technology, even if it's just email, starting a new job. You didn't become confident before you started. You became confident because you started. So allow yourself to begin before you feel completely ready, because readiness often comes from experience, not preparation. You need enough to get started. Yes, you need to practice a little bit, but you don't really master it until you do it a lot. Now, mistake number 5 is comparing yourself to people who are years ahead of you. This 5th mistake may be the most discouraging one of all. Comparison is the thief of all joy, and comparing your beginning to someone else's middle or even their end is detrimental. You see someone making money with AI, building an audience, launching products, and creating content consistently, and you think they are so far ahead. But what we often forget is that we're usually seeing the result of something, not the journey. We're not seeing the learning curve. We're not seeing the mistakes, and none of the months or years of effort behind the scenes. So when you compare yourself to where you were yesterday, instead of comparing yourself to someone else, that is where growth happens, okay? You don't need to catch up to everyone. You only need to keep moving forward. What all of these mistakes have in common, if you look closely, all of these 5 mistakes create motion without progress. They are learning without doing anything, and they're researching without acting, and they're switching without committing. They're also waiting without starting, and they're comparing without moving. And while those things can feel productive, they often keep us exactly where we are. Now, the goal isn't to move faster. The goal is to move forward. So I just want to ask you, as I've listed out these mistakes, which one stood out to you the most? Maybe you've been learning without taking action. Maybe you've been trying too many tools. Maybe you've been waiting until you feel ready. Whatever it is, simply noticing it is a powerful step, because once you're aware of it, you can choose a different path to move forward. And I just want to say, I have been guilty of all of these things, okay? So it is possible to still make these mistakes and keep moving forward, okay? I really want to invite you not to be discouraged and not to be hard on yourself if you found yourself making one or all of these mistakes. Give yourself a little bit of grace, okay? Please, I really want to stress that. What you can do if you've already made one or more of these mistakes. Now, the good news is that none of these mistakes are permanent. Most beginners make them at least once, and most of them make one, if not all of them. Like I said, I have made all of them. Many people make several. The goal isn't to be perfect, okay? The goal is to recognize that these patterns exist and then keep moving forward. So you just want to recognize when the pattern is happening, okay? And this is a very normal thing for this to happen because it goes back to the way our nervous system works. Our brains and our nervous system want us to stop anything that is new because it feels unsafe, okay? So it's not a you problem if you've experienced this. This is a humanity thing. Everybody goes through this in some sort of capacity when they are getting started because it's actually the way that our brains and our bodies work. So that's why the goal is to recognize when these patterns are happening and recognize them sooner so that way you can keep moving forward. Now, making money with AI isn't about having all the answers. It's about taking consistent action, learning as you go, and staying focused on what matters. So in the next video, we're going to bring everything together. I'll show you a simple step-by-step beginner plan for making money with AI in 2026, pulling all the components of all the videos together and doing it without getting overwhelmed, without overcomplicating things, and without feeling like you're already behind. So I will see you in the next video.